What is a disturbing fact you wish you could unlearn? That 1 million seconds ago was last week, while 1 billion seconds ago was 1988. I remember as a child my mum telling me of the story of the horrific murder of James Bulger. Still haunts the UK now in some respects. N.M. Wikipedia. Org. Wiki. Murder of James Bulger. Parrots often bond with a keeper, from their perspective, as a lifelong romantic partner. If the person dies, or the parrot is displaced, they can go into massive depression and pluck out their own feathers. There's a type of crayfish that farms sea stars by cutting all their water legs off and eating its arms all the way to the center, but leaving the center intact. It then feeds the sea star with kelp to keep it alive so it regenerates, and then repeats the process. When the Challenger exploded in 1986, the astronauts didn't die from the explosion, nor did they die from depressurization as NASA has initially claimed. There is some evidence they turned on their personal oxygen supply. They died from impact when they hit the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. They were in free fall for 2.5 minutes. I learned on Reddit that a woodpecker will tap enough to break into a baby bird's skull and slurp up their brains. If you have an intestinal blockage, you can burp up farts and have fecal vomit, which is basically just throwing up your poop. In most cases, when a parasite gets into the brain, they don't remove it. They just kill it with some sort of acid or something with a similar effect, then just let the body calcify it. It's weird cause you'd think that the parasite could still do something. Edit. They don't kill it with acid. The Chiquita Banana Company colluded with the CIA to overthrow the democratically elected government of Guatemala, leading to a civil war that lasted 46 years and directly contributed to the ongoing migrant crisis at the border. They called it Operation PB Success. Joseph Fritzl, the man who imprisoned his daughter in an underground cellar for 24 years and raped her approximately 3,000 times. Since koalas eat so much eucalyptus and that stuff produces extremely flammable gases, koalas explode when they get in a wildfire. My biology teacher had a Q&A session before Christmas and one student asked if it's possible to be allergic to your own blood. Unfortunately you can. Just imagine your own immune system destroying your red blood cells, constant hemorrhaging, constantly feeling cold and out of breath. When we got back from winter break we saw a new face in class. A former student of my bio teacher who just so happened to have this disease, and we spent the whole class asking questions. I feel so bad for the guy, but thankfully the medicine available to suppress the immune system has made his life bearable. Yogurt is useful for decomposing dead bodies, since it's already got concentrated and pre-cultured bacteria. The fact that dogs like squeaky toys because it sounds like their prey crying out in pain. Where's that rabies post? Jeffrey Dahmer drilled a hole into some victims' skulls and tried pouring different toxic liquids into the hole. He was trying to make a sick slave that could eat and drink but could in no way fight back or escape. The worst fact is that victims might survive the first hole with all brain function intact and live long enough to be fully aware they were going to get a second or third hole drilled. My mom told me I have my grandma's nipples. Edit. Yes, for those asking, I am a dude. Apparently, Japan bombed China with fleas infected with bubonic plague during World War II. Big rain, I think. Often people that fracture their tibia, big shin bone, but not their fibula, thin shin bone, think they're okay to stand up, and when they put weight through that leg then the fibula breaks too. There is a type of insomnia that will kill you. Life expectancy is around a year after onset. FFI, fatal familial insomnia. Sometimes, old people don't break their bones because they fall because they break their bones. Any details about the Toy Box Killer's ways of torturing his victims? The guy was a serial rapist, just leave it at that. A pig ejaculates enough semen to fill a 12 ounces Coke can. Edit. I took an intro to agriculture class my freshman year of high school 12 plus years ago. Starfish can get infected and rip themselves apart. Every single fact about bedbugs. That children are currently being decapitated in northern Mozambique right now. That a dolphin committed suicide after falling in love with its handler that used to jerk the dolphin off. What happened to the child actor who played Ducky in The Land Before Time? When someone has their head cut off, the screaming when they sever the throat sounds just like pigs. I unfortunately saw a video released by a terrorist organization many years ago and it still haunts me. There was a French dude named Terrare who ate just about everything, including a frocking infant. I was a lot happier before I knew that tonsil stones were a thing. Surgeons used to operate on infants without anesthesia, including open heart surgery. They have stopped this, however, in the 1980s. That tumors can grow teeth. Seals raping juvenile penguins. Edit. And then eating them. I saw an X-ray video of proper hand position when you're at a computer. The way the forearm bones moves is disgusting. There is a chance you might fall in a sleep paralysis-like state when under anesthesia, meaning you'll feel your surgery while being unable to move. I feel bad for Diavolo now. Parmesan cheese and vomit contain butyric acid and it is responsible for the most distinct aspects of their smells. There's such a thing as 4th, 5th, and 6th degree burns. 4th degree means all the layers of skin at the burn site are gone. 5th degree means the muscle under the skin is damaged. 6th degree is literally down to the bone. Yeah, I was a lot happier thinking 3rd degree was the worst. There were approximately 4 HS suicides in my town a year for 10 to 12 years. The amount of mental health issues was so high that when Stanford came across the street to help set up a mental health counseling service, 500 appointments were made, in a school of 2,000 students. But people were happy because more people went to Stanford each year. 15 to 20 academically pressured, also a few professor children, and Harvard, 15. Then committing suicide, so it was ignored until the CDC investigation. The South Korean government murdered 200,000 girls, boys, adults, and families with zero basis or even a trial, the Bodo League massacre. And they continue to cover it up today and hope the world doesn't find out. Spider legs operate via the hydraulic pressure of their blood. That is why they curl up when they die. They weigh flies eat. They land on your food and they freaking puke their digestive juices into your food and slurp the vomited juices back in. The sound a human makes hitting a concrete floor head first from about 12 feet up. Also the visual. Fetal abductions aka caesarean kidnapping. I learned about this as my wife was bedridden in the hospital carrying our first. Really struck a nerve. A Queen of Scotland, if my memory's good, was sentenced to death by beheading. Bear in mind that a beheading was always seen as a quick death. One chop and that's done. She got up to the chopping block and made her prayers. The executioner took 3 swings to properly behead her. I recall reading how she screamed in terror and pain before the second hit cut her voice. I forgot the details of much, but executioners were not flawless in their handling of sentences. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up overnight. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. That to find people who download CP, police have to upload CP with a virus or something to track them down. Why am I willingly learning all the facts that people wish to unlearn? Reddit hired pedo apologist Imi Channelor and now Reddit it's censoring people from saying they hired pedo apologist Imi Channelor. Gangrene exists. Blobfish. In their natural environment, they are actually not that ugly looking. The reason they look so horrific in all those pictures is because their natural environment is deep beneath the ocean surface. And when they're caught they are exposed to catastrophic decompression as they're reeled to the surface. The murder of Junko Furuta. I read true crime stories every now and then, but this is by far the most gut-wrenching story I've ever heard. There's a wiki page for those curious enough, but I heavily suggest not to if you want to maintain your faith in humanity. Dolphins like raping sit for fun. Wish I could unlearn that since I used to like swimming with them. There was a time in England where you could feed your pet to the lions in a zoo to avoid paying. So, I am tall. And I was especially tall when I was younger. I was probably about 12 at the time. And a local basketball coach was trying really hard to get me to join the team. And I was very close, but I backed out last minute and I don't remember why. But thank God I did. A few years later that same coach was arrested for child molestation and possession of CP. I feel so bad for the other kids who just wanted to play basketball. There is a phenomenon known as stone baby, where a fetus dies and doesn't get absorbed by the body. So it calcifies inside the mother's abdomen. People have been known to carry around these mummified fetuses for 40 years, totally unaware. If your pillow is over 2 years old, up to 10% of its weight is dust mite fecal matter. Guy who I worked with when I was 15 turned out to be a convicted child molester. He never touched me, but he was definitely really uncomfortably friendly around me. The entire background story of the admin Reddit hired. Only about 50% of the cells in your body are you. The rest are microbes that exist as part of your microbiome. In Japan, when you have surgery, the doctor shows you what they removed and explain about it. It was a bit shocking to see. What? They don't do that in your home country. No sir, they do not. It takes a few seconds for one to go unconscious after being decapitated. Meaning everyone who has had their head cut off felt it and experienced the events immediately afterwards. Unit 731. How many people on Reddit want to talk about raccoons up your ass? There are corpses on Mount Everest which are used as waypoints. Hey look, there is no limbs Derek. I guess we're going the right way. What the Belgians did in the Congo. Every time you walk into a stinky public bathroom, you are inhaling tiny bits of strange people's shit. Right in your mouth. Manatees have anginas that are the most anatomically similar to humans. Manatees may also be the inspiration for myths about mermaids. Beautiful half-fish women that lured sailors to their deaths. Connecting those dots have been mentally scarring. Not really a fact. But something I regret learning is how the goddess Aphrodite was created. Literally some titan dude cut off the balls of his tyrant father, Uranus, in order to overthrow him, tossed them breeches into the sea. From the blood came nymphs or mermaids or some shit, and from the quoted, white foam that washed ashore, i.e., semen, appeared Aphrodite. The Greek pantheon is the Florida of mythologies. The Challenger flight crew didn't die in the explosion. They survived until the cockpit hit the water at a couple hundred mph 3 minutes later. The only part of your reflection that you can lick is your tongue. It's illegal to have sex with a porcupine in the state of Florida. Just gonna toss out an eye bleach for those of us who read too much of this thread. A dingo really did eat her baby. People who fell or jumped from the Twin Towers hit the ground at nearly 120 miles per hour. There is traces of plastic now being found in umbilical cords. Without mucus, your stomach would digest itself. Also Junko Furuta. Torture exists in this reality and that the human body can survive well past many tortures until the end. It takes 3 full rotations to remove the human head because of the skin's elasticity. Edit. How is this popular? You're telling me that people don't know this fact? This is explicitly a post full of things people wish they never learned. And I and thousands of other people clicked anyway. We hella dumb. A man named Pel Olin slit his wrists and then shot himself in the head, and a photo of his dead body was used as album art. Pretty much anything about prions. Edit. Wow, this blew up, and it's my first awarded post, and on my cake day, too. Also, S.O. to X-Files and Our Town, for teaching me about prions in the first place. Choco chicken. Anyone? There are fish that live inside sea cucumbers' assholes. After a human is dead, they can still technically hear you, but not understand you. The brain doesn't fully shut off until a few minutes after death. Makes me sad knowing I wasn't there to talk to my grandfather right when he died. Horses eat chicks with 0 frocks. Can't ever know what the people around you are capable of. The story of John Jones, the cave explorer who got stuck upside down inside Nutty Putty Caves. For close to 24 hours he was jammed between 2 rock formations head first, basically hanging upside down. Unable to move, he breathed in and wiggled into a crevice thinking it got bigger and he could turn around. When his lungs expanded he was stuck. He died because being stuck head first made all the blood rush to his brain and his organs started to shut down. His brother tried to rescue him and his pregnant wife was outside the cave. To this day his body is still stuck in Nutty Putty Caves. Do not look at the pictures if you are claustrophobic. That Reddit is making multiple subs closed and banning shitloads of Redditors because they want to support a piece of shit who backs her pedo father. That you can't say a certain new Reddit admin's name, a former UK politician, in public or in private messages on Reddit without the risk of your account being banned. See this post for more information. Out of the loop. Edit. Just to provide further information. A Reddit moderator was banned for linking to the article mentioned in this post. Literally 2 words in the last paragraph of an article. The Reddit admin's name, and they call it doxing. Mod support. How narcissism works and that it's an actual thing you can't do anything about. 1. One of the Columbine shooters didn't die when he shot himself. He instead drowned in his own blood next to his friend who was the other shooter, missing the top half of his head from a self-inflicted shotgun blast. 2. The bodies of the victims at Columbine, and the shooters, were left in the library overnight. 3. Adolf Hitler lost one of his testicles in World War I. The fact that I dismissed my friend who was raving about Bitcoin in 2009. That woodpeckers will seek out dove nests to crack open the baby dove skulls to lap up their brains. There was even a video. I know what it sounds like when a human body is mangled under a train car. I was a passenger. And it was a probable suicide. Reddit hired an admin who appointed their father as their campaign manager, who is a convicted child rapist, and now Reddit is censoring all posts about this. A study by WWF found we consume about 5 grams of microplastics a week, roughly the equivalent to eating an entire credit card. Your face has tiny microorganisms, the face mites. They live in hair pores and eat the sebum. At night, they go to the surface and woohoo, laying eggs in the pore. These are not to be confused with the bacteria that cause acne. They actually help regulate the output of sebum in your face. Good to know these worms are helping out. But now I'm aware of the multiple microscopic parties. Amy Challoner. That was someone I never needed to learn about. Thank the Streisand effect for that one. The side effects of rabies. Once you have it and you show symptoms, you're pretty much dead. Learned this from mental health nursing. To cure mental illness in females. Way back when, probably 1800s, early 1900s. UK doctors set up clinics where mental ill women would come to get touched. Women would go from clinic to clinic not just because it felt great, but because they thought it was the cure for their mental illness. Doctors eventually couldn't keep up with the demand. Wrist cramps, as you could imagine. This led to the invention of the dildo. It's not so disturbing, just downright weird. Wish masturbation really was the cure. We'd all be pretty happy if it was. Edit. Absolutely my bad. I definitely meant vibrator, and not dildo. Someone mentioned CP. But there's also videos out there of care home workers raping elderly women who don't have the mental capacity to consent. Also animals. Most often dogs or horses, it seems.